When we have nice days like this, I bring my stock outside and I let them bask in the winter sun. I let them bask in the environment that they're going to be transplanted out in, because my stock is going to be transplanted out when it's still really cold for other plants. Throughout the daytime, I'll bring my stock outside, I'll let them stay out here, and then before I go in for the night, or if I'm inside, I'll come back outside and I'll grab my stock, put them back into a little bit of a more sheltered area, still cold. And then what I do from there, repeat the same pattern the next day and the next day and the next day, because your stock is going to want to grow on in a cold environment. Now, we're not putting them out there when it's freezing, but we are putting them out there when it's in the 40s, when in the 50s, or at least that's what I do and what I've done in the past. Now we are going to move on and we're going to prune our hydrangeas. For hydrangeas, when you're trying to figure out when to prune and when not to prune, the one thing to keep in mind is what type of growth does it have? Does it grow off of old wood, new wood, and both? And the reason why I say is and both, because when you have your big leaf hydrangeas and they re-bloom throughout the season, those are going to grow off of, or should I say bloom off of, old and new stems. So I know that my hydrangea limelight is going to bloom off of the new growth from that season. So if I come down and I cut it back, it's fine. If it gets a late freeze, it's fine. Now, before you go outside and you prune your hydrangeas, make sure you're not pruning off your big leaf hydrangea, because if you go out and you prune that up, then you are going to be cutting off your blooms for the season. So when the summertime rolls around and we live in our big, beautiful hydrangea life, and you're waiting on pins and needles for your hydrangea to put out blooms, if you go out there and you prune the wrong type of hydrangea, it is not going to give you any beautiful blooms for the summer, and I don't want you to have that. But we know for our limelight here, it can handle the pruning. Now, you can prune up your big leaf hydrangeas in the summertime right after they finish blooming. So about August or so, you want to go out there, shape it, and that way it has enough time to put on new blooms for the next season. Think about your hydrangeas, and it takes a while for you to get those established stems. So the rule is you want to take out anything that's smaller than a number 2 pencil. But what if you have a smaller blooming hydrangea and every single stem is the size of a pencil? Then you throw that rule out. You take out anything that's dead, diseased, or dying. Go ahead and you prune it back to the desired size and the desired shape. So I'm going to prune this up, and then I am going to give it a little bit of fertilizer as well. So the first thing I do is I go in and I clean up the branch here. So right now I'm just taking off anything that is small. I'm just taking that off to clean up my stem here. I haven't even started really pruning right now. I'm just really just cleaning it up. Hydrangea tree is all pruned up. I took out any of the smaller stems. I took out anything that was crossing. Now, will I come out here and clean it up a little bit more as the season goes on? Absolutely. Because sometimes you may not get it all. Like for example, I have this wonky stem right here. Can you see it? It goes all the way out here. This should be pruned more back like this right here. Keep in mind, this hydrangea tree, from the weight of the blooms, has leaned over in this container. I am going to correct that in the springtime. Now, what I use for my hydrangeas, I use different types of fertilizer. I do use a fertilizer that's recommended for a woody stem type plant. So one of the most frequently used that we can get our hands on is going to be rose fertilizer. So I do go in and I just sprinkle a little bit of rose fertilizer. Now, in the base of all of my hydrangea trees, they have a lot of leaves in them. So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sprinkle my fertilizer right on top of the leaves. I'm going to keep the leaves in place just in case we have those temperatures that dip down low. They'll still have their winter blanket on. The only thing I'm doing is I'm just going in and I am fertilizing. Then I just leave it just like that. Spread the leaves back out. And if it was in the ground, you go around the drip line. But since it's in a container, I just put it right here in the bed of my container. Now we're going to plant up a container really quick.